Hey everybody, my name is Chris and I'm a tutor here at Chegg.com, and I mostly do math and a little bit of computer science. And in this video we're going to do some matrix operations. So here we have the matrix A and the matrix B, where A is 2, 3, 4, 5 and B is -8, 1, 0 and -2. Now before we move on, I do want to point out that sometimes you might see matrices written with square brackets, like A could also be written as 2, 3, 4 and 5 like this. And sometimes they're written with the curved parentheses like this. And I just want to point out that it makes absolutely no difference which one you want to use. Some textbooks and some authors and some instructors prefer one way, some prefer another. But as far as what they mean exactly the same thing. So there's absolutely no difference there. So I do just want to point that out. Now, in general, to do A plus B or A minus B, in other words, to add or subtract two matrices, they have to have both the same number of rows and the same number of columns. And we're in good shape here because A and B both have 2 rows and they both have 2 columns. So in order to add A plus B, we basically just add the corresponding elements together. So what that means is that, well, A, so the first row, first column of A is 2. The first row, first column of B is -8. So to do A plus B, we just do 2 plus -8. All right? And then how about in the first row, second column, well, 3 over here and 1 over here. So A plus B is just going to give us 3 plus 1. And then 4 and 0 go together in the second row, first column. And then in the second row, second column, 5 plus -2. 5 plus -2. Okay, so that's going to be our matrix. And then we just simplify, and we get, well, 2 plus -8, that just means 2 minus 8, which is -6. Okay. So that's -6, and then 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 plus -2 means 5 minus 2, which is just 3. So we just have 3 here. And this is the answer for A plus B. Okay. Now what about A minus B? So let's go ahead and go to the next page. So A is 2, 3, 4, 5. And B is -8, 1, 0, 2. -8, 1, 0, and -2, right? Yes. Okay. So that's B. So we also want to find out A minus B. So A minus B, we're essentially just going to do exactly the same thing, but instead of adding each corresponding entry together, we're just going to subtract. So first is going to be 2 minus -8, and then 3 minus 1, and then 4 minus 0, and then 5 minus -2. Okay? Now, 2 minus -8 means 2 plus 8, which is 10. 3 minus 1 is 2. And 4 minus 0 is 4. And 5 minus -2 means 5 plus 2, which is 7. Okay? Now, matrix multiplication is a little bit more complicated, but still not too bad, especially in the 2 by 2 case. So to multiply two matrices, the number of, so in other words, in general, to multiply A and B in general, the number of columns of A has to equal the number of rows of B. Okay, so remember, to add or subtract two matrices A and B, the number of rows of A has to equal the number of rows of B, and the number of columns of A has to equal the number of columns of B. Well, to multiply two matrices A and B, there's only one restriction, which is that the number of columns of A has to equal the number of rows of B. All right, now that might sound kind of weird, but the reason is that, so, well, let's just go ahead and multiply out A and B and see what's happening. So when we multiply A and B, well, what are we going to have? We're going to have AB equals 2, 3, 4, 5 times -8, 1, 0, and -2. All right, now when we multiply two matrices together, and what we're going to do is take the first row of A and pair it with the first column of B. So first row of A with the first column of B. So what we're going to do is first do 2 times -8. Okay, 2 times -8. So we have 2 times -8. And then we're going to add 3 times 0. Okay, so again, first row of A with the first column of B. And first we did 2 times -8. Now we're going to add to that 3 times 0. Okay, so that's all that's going on there. So plus 3 times 0. And then what about down here? Well, now, so that's in the first row, first column of the product AB. Now here in the first row, second column, what we're going to do is this row matched with this column, okay? That row matched with that column. So 2 from this row times 1 from this column. 2 times 1 is 2. So we have a 2 here. Well, 2 times 1, we'll just write that, 2 times 1. And then we're going to pair the 3 with the negative 2. Okay, so remember, this row with this column. So 3 times negative 2, now we're going to have plus 3 times negative 2. Okay, and then how about the second row of the product AB? So for the second row, now we want to have the second row of A with the first column of B. Okay, so second row of A with the first column of B. So that's going to be 4 times negative 8. So we have 4 times negative 8. And then we're going to have plus 5 times 0. Okay, plus 5 times 0. And then finally, we are going to have the second row of A with the second column of B. So 4 times 1 gives us 4. And then we're going to add to that, so remember, second row of A, second column of B, we're going to add to that 5 times negative 2. So we have plus 5 times negative 2, right? And then we want to close the parenthesis on the matrix here, and we're kind of out of room over here, so what I want to do is section off a little area up here, all right? And then we're going to come up here, and we're going to put our final answer up here. Okay, so then this is finally going to equal, so 2 times negative 8 is negative 16, so we have negative 16 plus 3 times 0. Well, this is just 0. So that just ends up being negative 16. So negative 16. And how about here in the first row, second column? 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. So that's 2 minus 6, which is just negative 4. So this is minus 4. And then we have 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. And then 5 times 0 is 0. So we just end up with minus 32. And then finally, 4 times 1 is 4. And then plus 5 times negative 2, so that's 4 plus, or let's say 4 minus 10, because 5 times negative 2 is negative 10, so that's 4 minus 10, which is negative 6. Okay, so then we have negative 6 here. All right, now that's pretty much our final answer for AB, so remember that equals the product A times B, this entire matrix here. And you might be saying to yourself, well, hey, can't we simplify that a little bit? Because we have, first of all, everything's negative, and everything is divisible by 2 at least. So can't we simplify that a bit? And yeah, technically speaking, we could pull a scalar multiple out of the matrix, but that's not a topic related to this video, so we don't want to make this too long. But anyway, this has been just a few matrix operation examples. So we had addition, subtraction, and multiplication. And because multiplication is a little bit weird, let's go ahead and recap that one, just that one. So remember, to get the first row, first column of the product, we take the first row of A paired with the first column of B. All right, and then to get the first row, second column of the product AB, we take the first row of A paired with the second column of B. And then to get the second row, first column of the product AB, we take the second row of A and the first column of B. And then finally, to get the second row, second column of the product, we take the second row of A paired with the second column of B. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching.